What's up, everybody? You know what time it is. It's time for another edition of the Watchpoint Post Show, live from the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles. I'm your host, Malik Forte, joined by the rest of the Blue crew. We got Brandon, Josh, and Zoe here at the desk.
Definitely
who's not wearing blue. She missed the memo. What's up?
What's going on?
Yeah, what memo? Why am I not
National
on the...
Blue Day.
Okay.
Guys, is it 2018? I mean, 3 matches, Shanghai Dragons getting steamrolled. Like, what's going on today, yo?
I didn't see the Shanghai cheerleaders though.
Yeah,
They didn't bring them out today. I remember the last Shanghai day. They had the it was okay. Yeah.
It was certainly memorable at the very least. Yeah, Shanghai. Unfortunately, I think, Brent, didn't you say that today would be totally different from last year?
No.
And Shanghai Dragons
I
would...
think I believe you made promises.
in the head-to-head, I said...
Your analytical
You-
insight
okay.
was, I like dragons.
You spoke for 25 seconds, and I'm hearing, oh, we got to go, guys. And I'm like, well, I like
Could
the
have
Dragons, and it's the
interrupted me if you
Dragons
had
Day. I was
you
like,
had
I
a good
can't add on
point.
anything to this.
right.
I'm not looking at the timer.
You just
It's your job. It's
You took
your
it like
job.
25 seconds.
Because I
in the
know you don't
head-to-head.
have anything.
All right.
Yes,
well,
true.
I knew
Yeah,
you.
you
Well, guys,
lying.
let's go ahead and look at the highlights. Now, coming into the second half, the Dynasty were up 2-0 over the Dragons. So the Dragons need to pull off the reverse sweep here, starting at Blizzard World, to make this match competitive. But they weren't able to do so. Fleta was popping off. He continued his hot streak. And real good day for the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, Ding really tried on that
horribly
May, but Fleta just got the better end of it. Ding, in fact, had to switch over to the Sombra at the very end of it. They still got full health. It was not pretty.
Double full hold, Hanamura and Blizzard World. That's shockingly bad for the Shanghai Dragons. Remember, in week 1 of stage 4, the Shanghai Dragons won this matchup 3-1. And so, in only a couple of weeks, it's totally turned around, and Shanghai have made no evolution as a team. They're playing exactly the same stuff in exactly the same way as they have been, honestly, since stage 3.
Yeah.
It's just gotten worse.
But it's just
But
almost...
now it's just one less DPS they
Yeah, it's a
have
weak
at their
conversion.
disposal. Yeah.
And everyone knows how they're going to play as well.
Yeah, you can't be doing the same old anymore if you're Shanghai Dragon. Honestly, quite disappointed. Well, I'm not going to say angry. It's not the truth. Just a little bit disappointed.
On the other side of things, was there anything that you guys saw that stood out to you that was different this time by the Dynasty against the Dragons? Of course, besides them playing Fleta.
I think Seoul came in incredibly prepared for what they were going up against, which honestly bodes very well for this as a franchise team moving forward in the playoffs. Because we always think of Seoul Dynasty as one of the weaker teams that are currently in the running for the top 12 mark.
Speak for
Well,
yourself.
weaker top 6. I don't think they're a 12th place team.
There's some pretty good teams in the 12th to 7th place spot, honestly. Like in a matchup between Guangzhou Charge and Seoul, who wins that one? I'd probably give it to Guangzhou.
Yeah. If they actually went into the play-ins, there's still some dangerous teams.
But my point is that Seoul have always been, it's not, I don't think it's rude to say, quite uninspiring in a lot of their play. They're consistent, they go in, they get the job done. Never really quite flashy. Fleta has always added that spark to the team. Last year, he didn't really show up too much, but this is a really good showing, honestly, from Seoul.
Indeed, and with that, the Seoul Dynasty, they have another chance at sneaking up and possibly making it into the top 6, which would be huge for them, missing out on that complete play-in process moving into the playoffs. But let's go ahead and move on to another match. Now, another team whose playoff views are hanging in balance are the Dallas Fuel. Their chances of making it to the playoffs are pretty small, so they were going to need a king-size effort today if they were going to win against the Hangzhou Spark. And let me tell you, it was tough, man. The Spark looked good. They look like their old selves a little bit here, but was it more the Dallas Fuel playing not too well, or was it the Hangzhou Spark kind of imposing their will in you guys' opinion?
I mean, I felt like the Spark needed to warm up a little bit. They kind of were not on the same page in a lot of moments on that first map. I felt like they just didn't find their groove, whereas Dallas Fuel looked a lot more coordinated, and they kind of forced their pace onto their opponents. However, that really only lasted on the first map, and then afterwards it was all the Spark.
I don't think Spark are very good at May Reaper at all. The few times that we've seen them play it, it hasn't really fit for them. They played a bunch of Reaper with the Genji here on attack for Hanamura.
Yep.
They played a lot of May Hangzhou, some May Widowmaker. That's much better for the Hangzhou Spark. But this May Reaper stuff, they just don't understand. So it really hurt them on control, but then they just wipe the floor in the rest of the series once they can actually play what they can play. But that makes them very predictable as well. Not a top team. Still concerned about them getting into the top 6.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, honestly. I feel like we've seen some very good showings of Hangzhou against some of the some teams like Chengdu, now the Dallas Fuel, but again, this is nothing really to be looking at if you're a Spark fan and thinking, yeah, we're pretty solid right now. It's still a little bit over the place. But if I am to focus on one positive, it's this guy here, Godspeed, because he's slowly been heating up over the course of the league, and now he's getting up to a point where he's really competing in the top spot now, subtly, in some ways, actually. I think if you were to look at him statistically, just going by the eye test right now, but he is performing at a really high level, hitting some insane shots.
And that's fantastic for them. I think we discussed it last week that Godspeed is more or less the replacement for Crystal, who has been hailed as their big DPS star. So seeing Godspeed stepping up to the challenge and actually excelling and pulling more than just his own weight is fantastic. That bodes really well for the Spark.
All right.
I think a lot of teams
More
probably going to be
headshots,
quite pleased. Yeah, this is the Godspeed
It's
track
just
movie
how
now,
it
isn't it?
really is.
But I think a lot of teams probably also
Say
going to
no
be
more.
quite happy with the fact that Junkertown is not going to be in the pool for playoffs as well. Because as a map,
What?
it doesn't produce the...
You say you don't like Junkertown?
It's
Brennan?
I'm not saying
Produces
that.
a lot of erroneous. Erroneous.
I want to slip that one up again. Yeah, only been given the one luck on that one. But I think a lot of teams are going to be having very strong Widowmaker players, and they're not going to be getting the results they want. I mean, Junkertown as a map, you can always count on your Widowmaker player in a lot of those moments. But with it out of the playoffs, there's going to be a lot less reliance on having a very top-tier Widowmaker player to really carry you as well.
All right. Well, guys, we got one more match we need to go ahead and break down. So we're going to do so right after the break. Stay tuned. More Watchpoint coming up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Coming into today, the Boston Uprising's playoffs hopes were still alive. And if they wanted to keep them alive, they would have to do so against the vastly improved Florida Mayhem. But it was the Florida Mayhem who ultimately came out victorious with a clean 4-0 sweep of the Boston Uprising. They look great today.
Yeah, absolutely. Saya player carried them to victory. I think there were some great individual performances on the other side. Map 2, Collar Hacks really stood out on his Reaper. But Saya player, this was all his game, really.
Okay, I really want to talk about the future of these teams.
Okay.
All right? And what, because that's essentially what we got to look forward to now is the 2020 season for both of them. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, are Boston out yet? Are they still clinging on to life? I have no idea.
Mathematically,
Mathematically,
I think they're in the same scenario as Dallas, where
they're out.
They're out.
Oh no, they are out.
they are out. Okay, because the amount of
been out
times
for
Boston
weeks,
has lost the
honestly.
game, and Ben, Captain Planet's in the back saying, "Oh, they could still win. Just holding on to that 0.4% chance." Like, yes, I mean they could have, but now they are officially out. But look at this, trending downwards now from the Boston Uprising, because as a team, this is where you need to call into question their philosophy when it comes to designing it. From head to toe, where they pick up unknown talent and they try and mold them into a working model, a working team.
Yeah.
Is it working? Did they get lucky in stage 1, or are they just unlucky now?
Yeah, it's very difficult actually to tell. There's so many differences between 2018 and 2019. In 2018, they hit it. They hit the jackpot with people like Striker and Note, people that nobody was looking for.
And Krusty on the coaching staff.
Yeah, and Krusty as well. And now with Krusty gone, it's so difficult with Boston to predict what they'll be like in 2020 because they were just an enigma. You don't know who was making those decisions behind the scene. You don't know which contracts are going to end or which players they're going to pick up. If you're a Boston fan, you must be looking at 2020 and just thinking, I've no idea if we're going to be the new Florida Mayhem or whether we're going to go back to our success of 2018. This team finished 3rd overall in the regular season.
Yeah.
And now they're one of the first teams to be eliminated.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Are they the 3rd team to be eliminated, actually, this season? I believe so, because it was Justice, Mayhem, and then maybe Boston.
You
thought
said
Toronto
it with
first.
conviction. So
Toronto and then Boston, I believe.
Right, okay, yeah, Toronto, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the other side of that matchup because while the Boston Uprising have been trending downwards, the Florida Mayhem have been trending upwards, on pace to have the. Actually, no, I think they've actually done it. This is their best stage that they've had in franchise history.
Yep.
If you're looking at the numbers.
I want to point it out again, though. If we're looking at the first season,
It looks
inaugural
good.
season, it looks good because there were no 20 teams, so they were still at the
12
bottom of it.
teams.
Like
They were-
that doesn't mean that they're good. They're still the second to last team or something like that.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled by this graph, everyone. And then, so that also means though that it's not like they started off the second season badly. They just didn't move. So it was just they were at the end, and now that they were still, at the end, and now they're looking good.
Misleading drop.
Exactly.
I think this has got to be one of the toughest decisions to make for the Florida Mayhem staff, though, because you're going into 2020 with almost false optimism. You've only been, so Roll Lock has only been in place for one stage.
Yes.
So that's all the evidence that you have to base it on. And you did okay. But does that really make up for all of the issues in the whole of 2019? Can you confidently say that they will continue to be a good team, like a middle of the pack team throughout metas? I mean, don't they still have things to fix? Aren't there still places
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
go?
Here's what I would do if I was running Florida Mayhem. I would build around a couple of core players who I knew had performed over the teams, despite the poor performances. Side Play is one of them. I mean, Fate as well as an individual. On the main tank, you know he's tried and tested. You know he can play well, and probably Gargoyle as well as an individual who's actually had a decent showing now in the later stage.
Right.
Beyond that, I would say it's hit or miss. I guess they never miss, huh? But I'd be waiting to see how they performed in scrim results, and I'd be observing the rest of the team very closely to see if I want to switch anyone
this
around.
is a hard decision to make, right? Because if in this very stage they look very good, what is a good reason for them to now, let's say, kick out a player before 2020?
yeah.
They need to see if the team right now, if it's meta-proof, they need another meta to come and go before they can make that decision. Because right now they only have this one stage to base it on because this is the first time we're seeing this team in this composition.
Right, and this is one more game for the Florida Mayhem against the Toronto Defiant. I would classify this as their true championship test because, honestly, they're playing for their first winning stage in franchise history. They need this win more than they might think. So,
Way to hype up that match, Malik.
Yeah.
Well done.
yeah, you know, I got the
You
storyline.
pulled that storyline out somewhere, but it's working for me.
I got them on deck, man. I got the storylines on deck. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the season standings and see where everyone else is sitting right now. The Florida Mayhem may be at the bottom, but and the Outlaws, the Uprising eliminated. Of course, the Uprising eliminated as of today. And the Shanghai Dragons moved down from 8th 11 after that loss. They are in serious danger of slipping out of the top 12.
I can't believe the Fuel is still in it. Like, I thought they had to 4-0 every match.
No,
I guess not.
They just have to hope. So they have to win every match from here on out and hope that Hunters and Valiant lose every game 4-0. It's so unlikely that the Fuel will be able to be in our playoffs. I think same for the Paris Eternal, obviously, as well, in exactly the same position.
You're telling me there's a chance? Huh?
Well, there is a chance that Dragons are going to drop out completely, and I think that's a really important thing to look at. They play against Paris coming up next, and that's a big one, because you would expect them to win against the Paris Eternal. But Paris have actually been performing all right recently, and if they see an opportunity to knock the Dragons out and have some momentum going into 2020, have some people talking about them, that's a big game for the Eternal if they can get their heads into it. But the fact that Dragons lost today in such devastating fashion is awful for them. Doubled their chance of being eliminated from playoffs.
How do you think Ding is going to do against Shadowburn's Pharaoh?
The team as a whole is just bad against Pharaoh, honestly. So it's not so much Ding, it's just like...
They have to rely on the maps now. I'm not entirely sure what maps will be played in that series, but they better hope it's not going to be any Pharah-centric stuff.
Right. Shadowburn.
Which is so weird. Like, why would you try and avoid Pharah-centric stuff when Ding is the best Pharah in the game?
Exactly.
But they have to because they're so bad at dealing with them.
It's their Achilles heel, as we found today. Well, guys, coming up after the break, we'll check back in with everyone's favorite rankings board. Don't go anywhere. More Watchpoint coming up right after the break.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Another day of Overwatch is in the books, and to try to make some sense of it, we're bringing back our fancy power rankings board. Just like last week, we're going to start off with the official Overwatch League power rankings from our buddy Reinforce coming into this week. You each get to make one power move, and today, we're going to start with Sideshow. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, this is difficult because we've seen a lot of games recently.
Yep.
And I
Can
think...
you get out of the chair? Like, step
I've
one.
just like thrown my IFB all over the place. All right, anyway, the move that I want to make is that I think the Dragons, the Gladiators, are a little too highly rated at the moment, and I think that Reinforce is underrating the Guangzhou Charge.
Okay.
So I'm going to move the Guangzou Charge up, slide a couple of teams down into the positions that would be there as well. And I'm going to... I'm going to actually take...
Nice.
Whoa!
I'm going to put Guangzhou at number 2. I think this team is playing really clean at the moment.
That's a move.
And even though I don't think there is really a set second best team, it's so hard to call.
Yeah.
If I had to pick any of the teams, it might be the Charge right now.
I can see that. I think that's valid. I think that's quite valid. All right.
This is another point I'm going to make as well on the Watchpoint pre-show tomorrow. Make sure you check that one out. It's not my go, though. It's Zoe's.
Well, he kind of did what I wanted
Yeah,
to do.
I was going to do the same.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we all want to do the same. So let's see what I don't agree with. Can I also just agree with things?
I mean,
No,
the-
F that. I don't want to agree with anyone. Let's see. I really just want to mess up Johnny's.
I'm
brain
going to
here.
live vicariously through you and say the Dynasty beat the Dragons today.
yeah.
Yeah, I did. You know what? Good point. I did call that, so I should live it.
Yeah,
Just
do it.
Take
You do
one,
you.
live it. And
The Dragons looked so poor today as well.
wow, way to call.
What are you trying to do here? Don't influence the
I'm
ranking.
trying to subtly
Stay out of it.
influence.
She wants to
Yeah.
wants to slide them down off the board pretty much. All right.
Okay.
Nice move. I like that.
It wasn't a strong one, but I go with it anyway.
If you're going off of what happened today, definitely valid.
Yeah.
All right, Bren.
Oh, my word. What the bloody heck do we do here?
So the Hangzhou
tough, right?
Spark aren't even on the board.
Yeah, there's some teams not on
I
the
would
board.
put them on there.
What about the NYXL? You
Personally.
know you want to put them up.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, do we have any worthy contenders? Not really. I think all the teams that are quite
The
worthy.
Fusion.
So are you really sold on the Hunters? Are you genuinely, honestly sold
If
on the
it was up
Hunters?
to me, we put them in the Chengdu zone again. But do I want to make that my move?
I mean, you could
I mean,
do.
it is our board to play with.
Yeah, you might make Hex mad, but
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, here's
Mix
what
it up.
we'll do.
Mix it up.
The Reign are also undefeated at the moment in stage 4.
Yeah, but they haven't
and
been
7
tested
without
either,
buckets. I mean,
really.
I agree with it. Yeah, I'm just pointing out things that people would
Just
find
trying to help here.
All right, here we go.
Can I do like can I draw a panda in the middle of the Chengdu zone and put Chengdu there?
I don't think you can draw a panda. I think that's the biggest
You
problem.
can draw a duck. I know that.
That's already. I like that you're looking at their logo for Expo.
Okay. This is.
Oh,
this
what
is
have you
a-
done?
This is looking like a panda for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a panda.
Definitely a
If
panda.
more pandas were to look like that, they'd actually go extinct.
This is the Chengdu zone.
Is it though?
Yep, it is now.
And who's on
Okay.
it?
And who's an 8? Okay, I'm gonna do this.
Just randomly picking.
No,
It's a happy panda.
I'm gonna move this. Yeah, he's
He's
pretty
quite
pleased.
thrilled,
You know?
actually.
He's convinced the human race to save his species, even though he only eats bamboo.
Yeah.
Which could get away from him at
Hunting that bamboo.
They're famous for
I'm gonna
that.
do this here.
All right.
It's a
All
little
right.
bit
I don't
weird,
mind.
Okay.
but Chengdu are a team that I think nobody can place in this wide world. You never know when they're going to turn up and upset and
Yeah.
the #1 seed team like Shanghai. Oh, like Shock, I should say, not Shanghai. But yeah, I think that this is more than fair. But now we have a new zone for Chengdu.
All right.
The Panda Zone.
They're
Can I do a
wild
Panda
cards.
Zone?
Sorry, Bren. Now, once you draw in zones, we got to put NYXL in a sandbagging zone. We actually
Yeah,
have
there's.
to.
right.
I was
Please.
intending on doing
Well-
that last week, but didn't get a chance. I thought Hex was going to do it.
Okay.
in fact. But we've
100%.
got to make a sandbagging zone for NYXL.
Is that all right? Well,
What I
Not
said.
right now.
not
Another
now.
time.
Yeah, maybe,
Another time.
Maybe put that sandbagging zone thing on the docket for tomorrow. We'll get it done tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll
got
put it in
time.
there. We'll
Well,
put it in
maybe
there.
maybe other stuff happens.
Well,
tomorrow.
in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of the most over-the-top moments of the day? There was a lot of stuff to unpack today, right? Starting off with the Spitfires Championship skin, which I thought was pretty dope. Seeing Winston all decked out in that
Pretty
Aces
clean.
high gear.
I really hope that it would also add an ability for him to fly really slowly.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So
Okay.
there
I'm a
you
big
go.
fan of the
Love
of
the stash. Yeah.
the mustache, yes, Freddie Mercury inspired, of course.
I
But
was
also
Coco inspired, but that's
the
okay.
Spitfire. They modeled the engines on his back off of actual Spitfires. I think that's
I love how he looks when he primals too. So
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
So dope. Moving on, Fitz going crazy on the McCree here. Oh no, this isn't Fitz. This is Byram.
that's a name I have
Byram
not
going
heard.
crazy with the Zen
quite
3
some
kit.
time. Yeah, he's just turning up.
Yeah,
Look at him.
Byram.
He's
getting
been
some-
fairly decent. I mean, the Florida Mayhem have improved a lot as a team.
Yes.
And this slow build redeveloping has worked out
Hashtag bring
reasonably
the
well.
mayhem.
There goes my boy Fitz with the 4K.
This was
Lovely.
just hard to watch, honestly, as a Shanghai fan.
Yeah.
I was watching this moment. I'm like, you did so well up to this point, Shanghai. It could have been a completely different game if they were 1-1 at the half, honestly. A lot of the times I do say this, teams, they lose the momentum, you know?
Shout outs to Marvel with the body block, by the way. Moving on, Godsby popped off a little bit today. A lot of it today. He was looking great, especially on Junkertown.
Yes.
Godspeed's really leveled up his performance.
Well,
I
I was about to basically repeat what you said.
The whole of the
Like,
Hangzhou
Yes.
unfortunately, we're not going to say is
Just
it again.
yes.
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 Yes, Godsby. He looked good. He looked good. Popped off on Junkertown. They need him. They need him, the Sparker, going to succeed. And last but not least, oh man, double hog hooks. So many hog hooks today.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Don't stand on the edge. You're going to get hooked in. Rhea.
I love me a good counter hook. Like, you know, if you can't have it, no one's gonna have it.
No one.
Yo,
It's
good.
really, it's like Romeo
Heavy,
and
I love it.
Juliet, I think. You know,
I think that was exactly what was
Very
going through
fitting.
their heads.
Yeah, they're in a crypt as well.
yep, they fall down into the depths together in their loving embrace. There you go.
Well,
Only
before
their
we go,
families loved each other.
let's take a look at our Twitch cheer leaderboard. Yo, Bryn, what's going on
Yeah.
with the Twitch cheer leaderboard?
Well, the numbers are moving, Malik.
Yeah.
We've got a lovely movement coming from the bottom there. Shanghai Dragons are trying to clinch on actually a higher placement than the actual standings right now. You got the
Cold
Vancouver
front
Titans.
coming in from the west.
Yeah, cold winds are upon us. Honestly, though, Vancouver Titans, I remember when they weren't even on this board. It's like, it feels like this Twitch cheer leaderboards, it moves at a glacial pace.
Yeah.
You know, it's slow. It creeps up on you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
What about the individual leaderboard?
Well, the individual, you got La Couche Bobby, 20,000 bitties in the chat. There you go, 6th place. I'll have that one in my pocket. That's
Pepin de
right,
Palm.
directly funding me. Pepin de Palm, got a shout out number 1. Rarely do it. Razan 2048, don't really know what your name means, but Mama Shamada in number 5 with 25,700 bits. And Ixie, well done for making it in number 10. Well done.
Well done, everybody. Keep those Twitch cheer bits coming. We really appreciate it. And guys, you know what it is. Be sure to go get that Overwatch League All Access Pass because right after Watchpoint, we got a live Q&A with Zachary coming up that you're not going to want to miss. Zachary from Dallas Field been playing the Crazy May. You're going to want to ask him the questions, and that's exclusive with the All Access Pass on Twitch. But on that note, guys, that's going to do it for us. We're going to be back here tomorrow at 3:30 Pacific with the Watchpoint pre-show. Brent's got some stuff you're not going to want to miss, so
Yep.
make sure you show up. But until then, have a good evening.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.